Testing. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start our event shortly after this. During this event, please either switch off your phone or maybe put your phone on silent. We want to focus on the content of the discussion this afternoon. Not to worry, this session will be recorded, so our colleagues from VA Sarawak will be recording it, and later on it will be published in the social media platform. We will inform all of you accordingly after this. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all our partners, co-hosts, invited guests to Swinburne University of Technology Sarawak campus, researchers, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to International Journal of Business Event and Legacies Studio Series 1 in partnership with Business Events Sarawak, together with Curtin University Malaysia, UiTM Sarawak campus, and Sarawak Research Society. Before we start our event, allow me to introduce our moderator and panelists for this afternoon event. Prof. Andres is currently the Dean of the Faculty of Business, Curtin University Malaysia, and Adjunct Full Professor of Tourism Management at Mobile University Vienna. His research interests are tourism behavior, marketing research, destination image, social impact, tourism spending, theme parks, cultural and other leisure attractions, storytelling in tourism, and destination management, among others. He was the Editor-in-Chief of International Journal of Culture, Tourism and Hospitality Research, and is currently the Editor-in-Chief of the International Journal of Business Event and Legacy. Prof. Andres, selamat datang Naga Swinburne. Joining us online today is Mr. Noor Ahmad Hamid, Chief Operating Officer at Malaysia Convention and Exhibition Bureau, where he is responsible for enhancing strategic direction, community collaboration, and operational processes. Mr. Noor is a highly regarded and well-respected figure who is at the forefront of the international business events and tourism industry. Throughout the past 35 years of his career, he has been the driving forces behind many projects, both local and international. His knowledge and expertise are sought after by many associations, business entities, and governments. Tuan Noor, selamat datang Naga Swinburne. Terima kasih. Together with us here physically is Madam Audrey Wan Ulong. Madam Audrey has a bachelor's degree in Economics and Business Finance degree from University of Brunel, West London. Madam Audrey is currently the President of Sarawak Tourism Federation. Madam Audrey has over the past couple of years been promoting Sarawak to the French leisure market through a dedicated website that she has collaborated with some French-speaking partners residing in Kuching. In 2014, Madam Audrey was appointed by the French Embassy Kuala Lumpur as the honorary French consul in Kuching. Puan Audrey, selamat datang Naga Swinburne. I'm also privileged and happy to join the panelist delegates together here today alongside with Mr. Noor and Madam Audrey. I'm presently a Senior Lecturer and Director for Business and Social Innovation Center at Swinburne Sarawak. I have been actively involved in research in the areas of marketing and tourism. Thank you. We will start off the event this afternoon with the welcome speech from Professor Ida, Dr. Ida Fatimati bin Adi Badiuzaman, Executive Dean Research, Swinburne Sarawak, followed by a welcome speech from Professor Andres, Editor-in-Chief of IJBEL. We will then continue the event with the panelist roundtable discussion led by Prof. Andres and question and answer sessions afterward. At the end of the event, we would like to introduce as well the next IJBEL studio. After the event, I would like to invite all of you to stay back for a group photo session and inviting all of you to attend as well the next event organized by School of Research, Swinburne Sarawak, entitled UIC Connect Series, Breaking the Norms in IT Industry at B004, which is located on my right-hand side here. From 3 to 4 p.m., the talk will be featuring Mr. Melvin Ong, the co-founder of Karuna Sarawak. Mr. Melvin has been instrumental in e-commerce activities, whereas his organization is among one of the earliest partners of Groupon and Lazada. All of you are welcome. Without further delay, without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Ida for her welcoming speech. Prof. Ida, the stage is all yours.
Okay, a very good afternoon, and thank you everyone for being here. A warm welcome to all partners, co-hosts, invited guests, students from the University of Technology Sarawak campus, researchers, ladies and gentlemen, both physically and online. It is indeed a very busy afternoon, so thank you so much for having me. And please, if you have time, do join the next event, which is IUC Connect, which stands for Industry University Community Series Talk in B004. First and foremost, it is our great privilege to host the International Journal of Business Events and Legacies, Studio Series 1, in partnership with Business Events Sarawak, together with Curtin University Malaysia Sarawak, UITM Sarawak Campus, and Sarawak Research Society. The studio is made possible with the support of various industry partners such as ASIOS, STF, BEA, ASIA, and DAC, being caused by a Tribe Digital Campus Network and B Partners Network all across Malaysia. I want to thank them for their contribution and support to this studio in the beautiful yet dynamic city of Kuching and Swinburne, Sarawak. So to those who are here and to those who are online, welcome to Swinburne, Sarawak. Sarawak Convention Bureau recently launched the International Journal of Business Events and Legacies, which offers a multidisciplinary perspective aiming at disseminating knowledge about real-world issues in business events, with emphasis on business meetings, tourism, and legacies. At Swinburne, Sarawak, we continuously collaborate with the industry, the communities, and government through embedded and strategic partners. So we do this throughout all our activities, be it in terms of research, community outreach, and also industry talks. Swinburne aims to be a leading university in science, technology, and innovation, with real impact that transforms industries, shapes lives and communities. So therefore, IJBEL or IJBEL Studio is one of the initiatives among others. Swinburne also continued to rise in terms of the university ranking. This is evidenced by the announced US World University Rankings 2022, whereby Swinburne had moved up 50 places to 321st globally. Such performances are driven not just by research citations, but also employer reputation. This is not surprising as our academics, researchers, and students are trained to be world-class researchers through hands-on learning and industry-driven projects, which continuously are producing innovative solutions to real-world problems across a wide range of disciplines and sectors. In fact, some of our academics and researchers are already working with you. So IJBEL Studio series offer industry and academia research opportunities for students and academics in Swinburne, Sarawak, and the potential for joint activities including a research studio, forum, and also conference. It will thus be in tandem with Swinburne's Moonshot number 3, where every Swinburne partner gets a tech solution, and Moonshot 4, whereby Swinburne is the prototype of global best practices. As for the fellow academics and researchers who are here, this studio gives you the opportunity to connect with like-minded people and, of course, organizations as well. I would like to say a big congratulations to the organizing committee under the stewardship of Dr. Jeffrey G, the Director of Business and Social Innovation Center, Swinburne University of Technology Sarawak Campus, who've done an excellent job for the inaugural Studio Series 1. It is good to see the studio being held here today as scheduled. We hope we will have an enriching session that will stimulate ongoing collaborations, both professionally and socially, into the future. My gratitude also goes to the co-host Business Events Sarawak, Curtin University Malaysia, UITM Sarawak Campus, and Sarawak Research Society, who have made every effort to promote the IJBEL Studio and participated in it. So thank you very much to all of you for being here today. With that, I end my speech. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Professor Ida, for that wonderful speech. Without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Anders for his welcoming speech and to start this afternoon studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. T. Thank you, Dr. Ida. Thank you for being the host of this first so-called IJBEL studio. I'm currently the editor-in-chief of the journal that is behind the entire project. And briefly to explain why we are here is a journal, a traditional journal, even if it's online, published rapidly, digitally available, is only one form of delivering, say, new insights, exchanging thoughts between industry and academia. And I say it has been the traditional way of knowledge dissemination, how we call it. But we believe that currently in the 21st century, universities and also industry professionals are looking for other forms of knowledge exchange. And one form, and we learned that, I think, very impressively during the pandemic, is to come together, whether physically or via online platforms or media, sit together for not too long. We don't need a full day or days of conferences and so, but to have a condensed, a compact time to interact and to share that. And this is the wonderful thing. The audience here is not completely full, but I welcome really many more colleagues, people I don't know exactly which countries they come from, who can share. We can share with them, and they can also interact with us. What an achievement of modern technology. And this is exactly what we want to foster. A dialogue, an ongoing dialogue, not an event, and after a year we publish on that. Of course, we acknowledge it's a way how academia works and how journals work. It's important, but more important is to keep the dialogue. And you see, today I welcome outside Madam Audrey, also Mr. Noor from the industry, and Dr. T from university. The best sign already for collaborative team, not industry on one side, one event, academia separately and in a different room, right? So this is the spirit, the idea behind the studio, which is the first of its kind, and we will continue regularly, at least once a month or twice a month. And I also appreciate and thank already that Swinburne, as one of our partners in this venture, joined within a very short time to prepare and to reach out, invite people, and invite us for this event. And we will continue in the same direction with Swinburne and with other partners. We are not alone. We are not the founders of the idea to reflect on, say, what legacies and legacy impacts out of whatever economic activity is behind, to talk, to discuss, to research on that. However, it is a rather recent initiative when it comes to tourism, and particularly to events and business events. I'm sure everybody has heard about Olympic Games, World, whatever, soccer games, and such big sports events. Here, it has a longer tradition that the organizers, media, governments are interested to see, okay, what's behind and what's beyond the event itself. How many people participate, how much they spend, etc. But what is the impact, the long-term impact on society? Talking and taking business events as a separate sector, I would say, this is rather new. It's only a few years ago. And Sarawak, Business Event Sarawak was among the first organizations, institutions to think about that and also to take it seriously. And I want also to mention that we join initiatives like the Iceberg Initiative and other groups, the City DNA, how it is called, the former European City Marketing Association, and other places in the world like Vancouver to reflect on that. One very nice statement that I saw, which illustrates exactly what we want to pinpoint is, we are not travel agents talking about tourism and business events, how to organize that, but we are change agents, and that's exactly what's behind it. All these initiatives that I mentioned now, and that we are working for now with IJBEL and the IJBEL Studio, is to disseminate, to strengthen, to deepen the understanding of the stakeholders, government, industry, investors, that it is much more than organizing event, bringing people to a place, letting them stay overnight, enjoy a cultural event, and so on. Today's topic is destination marketing. So, in a short word, how to advertise and promote a geographic location or destination. And on the other side, business events. How is this playing? Is this the same journey? Where are the touching points? Where are the differences? I invite Madam Audrey as a first speaker, panelist, to address that. I mean, from a positioning point of view, do those two parties, stakeholders, work towards this in the same direction, or do they have to keep different concepts in mind? Where are the interactions? Maybe you can reflect on that a little bit.
Thank you very much, Professor Andreas. I think for Sarawak, we have to differentiate between leisure, travel, and business events market. For Sarawak, we have a lot of natural attractions, our lush rainforests, our plentiful wildlife, our diverse ethnic groups, and we have always been positioning, the Sarawak Tourism Board has over the years been positioning ourselves as a culture, adventure, nature, food and festival destination. So CANFF. And also now for food, because we have just been awarded last year, UNESCO City of Gastronomy. So in fact that Kuching is the first city in Malaysia to be given that award. So food is a big thing. Food is definitely a lot in we can promote from the leisure sector. We have always been, the Sarawak Tourism Board has always been promoting Sarawak more to discover, and especially now as we are coming out of the pandemic, as all the borders are open, we do not see the numbers of people coming in as it was pre-pandemic. So our focus is very much now on domestic tourism, and the government has always been focusing on developing sustainable tourism growth in the state. So, and we must not underestimate the importance of tourism contribution in Sarawak. It's pre-pandemic, it was estimated to contribute to about 15% of Sarawak's economy. So this will actually be among the top 5 producing sectors for the state's GDP. So that is something which is quite important. And I think that also another way that we are positioning ourselves is also to share the many possibilities of leaving lasting legacies through the various business events that are happening here, be it through the corporate social responsibilities, that most events that are corporate events that are happening here, they will always tie up with corporate social responsibility projects. They collaborate with the Sarawak Forestry Corporation, Sarawak Biodiversity Center. So all these are actually very useful research opportunities which the state can benefit in. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for the first statement, giving us already a bit the scope, positioning of Sarawak. May I ask back, in what area you think this positioning goals and the marketing campaigns and what helps most for attracting business events to Sarawak?
Well, I think if people want to come here and they want to have their events here, hold their events here, the allure even for someone to say, let's go to Borneo to have our conference in Borneo, that's something very exotic, and that is, I think that is also a very strong selling point for us. So that's how that's part of our branding. And a lot of people, they have not heard of, sometimes we never even heard of Sarawak and Malaysia, but Borneo, there's something about Borneo that is very enticing to them. So I think that, that is also one important point there.
Yeah, thank you. I pass on the similar or related question to what our expert today here, Mr. Noor from Malaysia Convention. How do you see that from convention, attracting conventions to Malaysia and also to Sarawak, particularly if we try to get a little bit closer or deeper in this stuff when it comes to domestic versus international market, or attracting domestic conferences versus international conferences. Is there a difference on how to market, how to attract, particularly in terms of position? What is the USP?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And first and foremost, thank you to Swinburne University for having me. I must apologize that I'm not able to be there in Kuching in person. I think Kuching is one of my favorite destinations, and I like to go at any time that I will be able to do so. Unfortunately, I'm still stuck with the virtual world joining you today. That is actually a very short but difficult question, really. But again, when we talk about positioning, if I may very quickly, is that I think we need to look at what positioning is all about, especially in the context of business event. Because as you mentioned clearly, we are not talking about leisure tourism, talking about business event. So we have identified the two market segments or two different sectors, leisure tourism and business event, as two different items. So positioning, I think, is very important for us to know that firstly, for any destination to be competitive, you need to have a clear competitive edge. Therefore, your messaging, when you do your product positioning or service positioning, has to be very, very super clear. You need to define what are the product and services that you need to offer to your clientele. And three, you can also be a bit more creative in creating what I call a perceptual positioning. For example, like, Audrey was mentioning that, and you said, Borneo, Sarawak sounds exotic, but you can also create perception to your audience of how you want them to think. In the case of what we said is promoting Sarawak as Borneo, and it's something very exotic, very elusive, and people want to go. But then when you come to the question of what you just asked, in which respect Sarawak positioning has to be different between domestic and international market, I think this is a very prevalent question, especially that now in this competitive world, anything that we do in terms of positioning and marketing has to be super targeted. In that regards, we cannot take for granted just because they are domestic business event entities or delegates coming to Sarawak, we will say that, oh, they know Sarawak. We need to really study the background, who are our client coming to the event or business event activities as well. Likewise, we also cannot take for granted the international market. Therefore, I think to simplify this, perhaps if I may, we need to look at three key areas. Number one is the motivation. Number two is the need. And number three is what are the narrative that we're going to provide to our audience. Therefore, I think what Sarawak has done, for example, again, what we have mentioned, to sell as Borneo Sarawak, I think that works very well for the international market. But then when we talk to the domestic market, then whether that will run well or not. Because with the Malaysian, for example, coming from Kuala Lumpur, I would not say Borneo has a great appeal as compared to the international audience. So we need to be a bit careful in that respect. Therefore, we need to look back at what are the motivations, the need, and the narrative. I hope that makes sense in my brief answer.
After then, I hand over to Madam Audrey.
Okay, I think the current priorities and strategies that we use by Sarawak State, because I'm quite close with almost everyone at the Business Event Sarawak. They are a fantastic bunch of people there with crazy and creative ideas, I must say. And also earlier on you mentioned that Business Event Sarawak was established 12 years ago, so they are our bigger brother in fact, because MyCite was established after Sarawak. So I think that's an advantage that Sarawak has, because Sarawak understands the importance of the business event activity itself. I believe when we look at the strategies of developing the field in business event, we cannot take for granted that these are just business event, because this event has different components to be did. You know, academically speaking, we have a component of the convention or the conference. In most cases, I believe for Sarawak and Malaysia, we try to lure more international association meetings to our destination. And of course, some of the governmental and non-governmental activities as well. Then we have other parts of the business event activities like exhibition, corporate meetings, like incentive travel. So I think in the incentive travel, Sarawak is doing pretty well as a unique destination, again as a Borneo, and also for corporate meetings alike. But in the respect of exhibition, maybe this is an area that not really a strength of Sarawak, because we have limited facilities for exhibition organizers to fish their event. Therefore, when we talk about strategies, I always believe again to the word of targeted. If we know our audience well, then we also need to know the types of event that we like to lure to our destination in the case of Sarawak or Malaysia. So we can't do really what we call mass marketing. We need to have a targeted approach. Therefore, I think one good sign that in particular with Sarawak State and Business Event Sarawak, we have a very strong research team that actually understand the dynamics of each one of the event activities that we like to build or host and bring to Sarawak. Therefore, when you speak to that particular event organizer, administration, for example, you will speak in different language that association will understand. I think that strategy works very well. And I've seen again and again, Sarawak has actually gone out to beat some of the top destinations in the world when it comes to whether it's regional or international conferences. I think that formula and that strategy works well. But again, I must warn not only Sarawak but also Malaysia, because just yesterday we had a Malaysia Business Event Charter activity in KL. The dynamics of the competition around the world has changed dramatically as we are going to the endemic situation. Things in Europe and North America are becoming very competitive, and while in Asia we are still struggling because most of the part of Asia are still closed, like China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, for example. Therefore, we need to be mindful of how we chart our future strategies.
Thank you. This was quite a full package of various top priorities and fields of, say, creativity and attention that the industry has to draw. And now I pass back to Madam Audrey.
Thank you, Professor. I think what's important is developing our homegrown events, and one in particular, one very, very good example here in Sarawak is the Rainforest World Music Festival. That is a homegrown event. That this year I think it's the 25th year of its existence. Although for 2 years last year we had it organized online, but it started off as an event that had only about 200-300 people, and in 2019 they had well over 24,000 people. So I think homegrown events are definitely one of the strategies that we should look into for developing the field of business events in Malaysia. And I know as well that BE Sarawak is super supportive of encouraging homegrown events. I think what they have done as well to highlight the legacy impact of the conference, because it's not just a conference and we'll go off. What happens after that, the research, the benefit to the state, that is a very important part. SCB has always been very supportive in product launching, educational programs, organizing educational programs, and also through their recent Digital Campus, I think, where they are helping to build local hosts and developing skills of our Sarawakians here. In fact, I was just speaking just a while ago to Jeffrey, and he was telling me that if we Google the website Business Events Sarawak, there's a whole host of activities and various support network to actually help here our people in Sarawak to strategize the homegrown events. So I think that is one of the important strategies for developing our events. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It gives a bit of an impression, and immediately summarize from what you started talking, mentioning cuisines, culinary tourism, the culinary assets that Sarawak has, homegrown events as one contribution that strengthens the destination, and of course not only by itself by organizing such events, cultural events, but as an attractive factor. I think it could strengthen the profile, the identity, and attract other business events. I see both consequences, positive consequences thereof. Looking from upside down, a question also to Mr. Noor. I mean, of course, everybody can comment. You can anytime you can stop or contribute with your aspect and opinion. But what are the threats? What are the weaknesses when, say, investing, promoting into business events or a destination? First, maybe Mr. Noor, are there any? I mean, maybe it's a silly question, but are there downsides? If you specialize into this type of events business and tourism.
It is actually very difficult to think of the downside of the tourism operation, because tourism is an industry recognized worldwide that not only provide economic contribution to the society, but also create jobs, enhance the development of the community, and so forth. However, I would say that this is a big safety in the game. That probably the downside would be the societal impact that might be brought by international travelers and tourists to the destination. we've seen in some areas, this has been quite profound. And secondly, we also look at the nature and sustainability impact that tourism, the overall tourism can create. So I think in a lot of parts of Sarawak or Malaysia, for that matter, we always believe that, especially when we talk about adventure tourism, there's always a carrying capacity that we need to be very relevant on. As much as I would not say that the question is a bit tricky or not, but I would say there are much more possibility that we look from the tourism industry compared to the research track. But again, we need to look at some areas of concern, as I've already mentioned. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, of course, we can discuss that and evaluate for hours, right? But a brief statement is okay. Do you want to add on that, please?
Yeah, I would look at the challenges that we have in Sarawak. One of it is probably accessibility. Having flights coming in, because you need flights to bring people in to come here. So that is always a challenge for us. And also capacity building. Especially during the recent pandemic, quite a lot of our manpower and those that have been engaged in this industry were lost to other industries. So even though now borders are open and they say tourism will start getting back on its feet, it is not as easy as that. Travel agencies are facing issues of manpower. They do not have enough guides. They do not have enough manpower to carry out all the usual activities that they did before pandemic. And now in this new norm, there's a lot of it's just a whole different ballgame that we have. From the travel agencies to the tour guides to the transport operators and all that forms the whole big picture of when such they are actually handling all our guests when they come in. It's not as easy as that. They say people can come in now, but it is hardly as it was before. It takes time. So I think I would look at it as challenges. Yeah,
thank you. To add on that, I mean, we have seen how vulnerable the sector, the wide industry of tourism is and became through the pandemic, and unfortunately, many people, professionals, had to find temporarily or forever other opportunities. And it's not so easy to replace that knowledge and service staff. Let me switch a bit to hopefully positive side and ask Dr. G, from his experience working in academia, but also, of course, with the businesses, with the sector, what are the, say, strategic partners, say, suitable suitable partners to drive business events or also developing a destination, right?
Thank you, Prof.
Ideas.
Yeah, thank you. Tricky question, because if I cite one person, another side will get upset. But let's put it in the perspective of what happened the last 2 years. Tourism declined. I think a lot of you have read some reports, maybe hear from the news that tourist visitors have declined tremendously. We're talking about earning in millions to billions, and now we are merely surviving for the last 2 years. So what's happened? So how do we revive? So who is our partners? This is how we see the market today. As a researcher, we tend to go a lot of time to talk to different people, especially the community, and we realize that the best partner that you can work with to build up the destination is the community. All right, you have, of course, Sarawak Tourism Federation, Sarawak Tourism Board, BE Sarawak, and a lot of industry players. They are there. They perhaps have some fund, technical support. You have universities that sit there, that are going out as well, talking to the people. But who's going to do the job? who are going to revive the economy, and particularly in the tourism sector, it's really the community itself. I just cite one case that I use in my research class, my undergrad class, Saloma Village. I think perhaps for some might heard about this. They are located at Anak Rice clusters. Okay, founded by this wonderful lady Saloma, my ex-student. I remember back in 2010. And when she first started off, the idea is to actually have a homestay. And I told her, why homestay? At that point of time, 2010, there's a lot of hip hype on homestay. Why homestay? And said that it's a good business, good opportunity, a lot of this can be done. And I told her, if you go and talk to Sarawak Tourism Board, Minister of Tourism, so on and so forth, they'll perhaps will tell you that they are very limited support that they can give because you are alone. So what can you do? So she took some time, she go back, then she come back to me and she told me, sir, I think if I involve the community, it could be something valuable, it could be something tangible. So she started off this idea of Saloma Village thing. Alright? So lo and behold, alright, the idea started off and she get a lot of international visitors, and they like the idea of the community are the driver of event or products or services or offerings. And of that, before pandemic, based on my interview with her, we realized that out of 90% of the clientele coming into Saloma Village, they are international tourists, and they are staying more than a day. A lot of them are actually staying over a week, 2 weeks in the village, part of the community, and be involved in the community, and the community also involved in the offering of services. So looking into that perspective, for business event, from destination marketing perspective, how can we grow? Is to actually get different strategy partners to work together. Like for example, IJBEL. I think the conversation started off with Jeff from B Sarawak, go and talk to Kertin, UIT, as well as the society, and they start off this idea of let's start something that talks the language of the community. Does it end there? It does not end there, because every partner comes in and tell, you know what, we can do studio, we can do conversation, we can do training, and this is all the things that help us to build up what is business event today. And I believe this will be a game changer in the industry. I'm not sure about Mr. Noor in West Malaysia, but I believe that this is something that Sarawak can drive, and perhaps can be modeled against to the different states, not just in West Malaysia, but throughout this particular region, Southeast Asia.
Thank you, Dr. T. You combined already, my question with the final round of question that I want to open to everybody here, and Noor and also Audrey. Maybe you can share with us one outstanding example, a good practice example where there was a really fruitful, collaboration, outcome, impact from a business event, whatever size, can be small, can be big, back to destination marketing. Maybe you can share with us briefly an illustration, an example. Maybe from Malaysia, from Sarawak. Mr. Noor, any highlights?
At the top of my head, maybe I will not use Malaysia as an example first. Maybe I use another destination. I think some of the profound relationship I've seen in terms of destination marketing to business event that we've done very cleverly is by Australia. A lot of destinations in Australia has provided a link to signify the Australian Aborigines native land to the business event activity. Therefore, even when you are attending a business event activity like conference, you're served with local delicacies, locally grown by the native, and getting the native involved. But then when I say that, that also sounds like that's been done in Sarawak and also in Malaysia. I think that is one good way to illustrate that. But if I can use an example in Malaysia, I think in 2019, just before the pandemic, Malaysia hosted the International Soap Congress. Delegates attending the event, Kuala Lumpur, that we did includes providing the support and CSR to various villages around Malaysia, not only in Peninsula but also in Sabah as well. So I think that part of the sample, I think, makes sense for this question.
Thank you. Thank you. I hand over to
Thank you, Mr. Noor. It's interesting that you mentioned Seroptimis because I was just about to mention that I'm actually a member of the Seroptimis International Kuching. It is a federation, international federation, various clubs around the world, and it champions the cause of women and young girls. And this is something which I was also very passionate about. In fact, Professor Ida's mother was Dr. Sri Fatima, our very loved Minister of Women and Welfare here in Sarawak, was very supportive of this event. And actually, through BE Sarawak, they also gave a lot of support. I was actually the organizing chairman of this event in 2016, and we had help from Sarawak Convention Bureau. We sent a bid to New Zealand, and we won the bid to have this SISWP, so Seroptimis International of Southwest Pacific, to have it here in Kuching. We had it here in Kuching, so we brought about I think almost close to 400 delegates, amazing, very inspirational ladies. But the most touching thing about this conference was that together with our Ministry of Women, through the support of Dr. Fatima, we went to a village in Anarais, and we helped a lot of the ladies there. A lot of these delegates that came in from Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, even from Mongolia, they came in, and we gave a lot of support to set up small businesses, micro businesses to them. There we got in Maybank to come in and talk to them, and it was really a very, very meaningful project. We helped a lot of the ladies. They actually start up small businesses. They were doing handicraft, hairdressing. We taught them to do things like that, and just to do things to earn themselves some money for themselves. And it was that I thought was a very, very meaningful, and it had really long impact for many, many years. So these are some of the things that I believe are success stories from this conference that came in. Yeah.
Thank you for that illustration. It's, if I try to generalize, but what's by this example, what we can see is this multiplier effect, which probably by other instruments and activities could not be achieved. It's so conferences bring people together, right? Nowadays, virtually, physically, share things, do things together, go into the communities partially, not only sitting in conference rooms. And I think this is the interesting challenge and opportunity, right? To go beyond. It's similar like in universities where we have our classroom settings, and still we always consider taking students out beyond that setting and only textbook exercises, right? Because we believe and are convinced that it has an impact, it has an effect, a different learning experience, different exposure. I think these are the nice opportunities that maybe are overlooked in so many other cases. I mean, it's a positive example, but I think it's invaluable. You cannot pay for that. What is triggered, the memories, and strengthens, say, the motivation, the energy, right? And it's enduring. So through the contact, interaction with other participants, with locals, you get the idea, the inspiration, the solidarity, and so on. So, and I think this is exactly what our topic is. We call it a word that maybe nobody no everyday people would use legacy, but this is exactly the general term for what the power is behind that. So thank you, everybody. I have to watch a little bit to keep our timeline, and of course we want and allow for some questions from the audience. The audience here from the room, we have more than 40 participants online, so whether you want to type in, you can also kind of raise a hand and speak in the microphone, or take the opportunity here in the room. If you have questions or comments on our topic today, so now it's the opportunity, we have a few minutes left. Is there any brave to break through with the first question or comment?
Professor Andreas, I just want to make a quick note that the reason why I chose the Swinburne International simply because they've been awarded incredible impact by the International Congress and International Association. So I think the work that the Swinburne Impact Nation members, including Audrey, I think it's just amazing, and it's something that we should continue to do.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is
Please go.
Well, thank you so much. I have a question for Dr. Hiram. Maybe to share his experience of starting up the Sarawak Business Society. Is it okay, Dr. Hiram?
Okay, so this is a surprise. To keep it short and brief, we felt as academics, researchers, we need to do something beyond the boundary of the university. And we need to work together with different stakeholders, especially those in the industry, associations, and even the local community members. So when we talk about business events, I believe one of the key characteristics is about how we can pull different minds together, how we can network, how we can co-create value in order to create a greater impact on the industry and the community. So that's basically what motivated us some years ago to start a society where it serves as a platform, bring different minds together. KPI is not so much a concern, rather it is about pulling our resources together and achieve our objectives, especially in regard to industry and the community, and how we can mobilize knowledge to practice. How can we translate research into real impact, which can be of use to the population. So that's what motivated us, and we are still moving on, and we hope we can again work with more stakeholders to achieve, to reach greater heights, to achieve more for the community. Thank you, Jeff, for the question.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Any other question or comment? I don't see any coming up from the online audience. But it's okay. I mean, we have set it up, as a very short, concise meeting to address major things as a bit maybe provoking, triggering. It's of course not the time, sufficient time to elaborate and to have a scientific discussion. This was not the purpose, but to have different angles illustrated and reflected on. So I think it's fine, it's okay, and maybe conclude with that. And I hand back to Dr. G.
Okay, before I conclude, just a quick, perhaps I want to add up to Assistant Professor Hiram. We have this conversation SRS many years back. We have that idea, and now it has transpired into a lot of good things, and perhaps some of our industry partners, they start to see that, like, for example, Prof. Hiram, also as Dr. Audrey Wong, I think the Center of Responsible Borneo, myself, in
Swinburne, I'm doing Business and Social Innovation Center, which we also do have a lot of these kind of commonalities, common ground that we build together. What I'm trying to say here is this. But long are the days that people see university as just, you come here, you study. Because now the university is the people, the university is outside here. You can see that, from the different academics, we are not necessarily just doing teaching research in the university, but at the same time, you are seeing that we are partnering outside of the university, talking to different stakeholders, and to make sure that common interests are being addressed, and more importantly, to create impact to the society. And from the destination marketing perspective, well, we go outside it, because we can have the books, we can write the books, we have a lot of people that can work together to produce tons and tons of research paper, but at the end of the day, who's going to read it, who's going to benefit it? I think this is something that a lot of this kind of conversation should be ongoing, because only through this kind of conversations, and of course through a lot of groundwork with projects and everything, that will enable us to be able to disseminate information and at the same time to create real impact to the society, which is to make everyone prosperous. I think our premier multiple times mentioned that in various of his speech, this is that, Sarawak, who we are, and what can we do for anak-anak Sarawak. Okay, so that's something that's not there. Okay, I think we reached the
For the sake of keeping the timeline, I invite you to conclude.
Yeah, I enjoy these conversations, and I think we should have more of this conversation. All right, we should have more of these conversations. Let me just move the roster.
We will have more. I use a few seconds to announce already that the next studios will happen soon. We also label IJBEL Studio International, or particularly more international participants, in collaboration with conferences. The next opportunity will be end of May, when Sunway University is organizing this year's APAC Creed, and I invited some authors for a special session on business events, sustainability, and legacies end of May. So there is another opportunity, and it's also, we post the link, which is great, like this studio, so you don't need to attend the conference. It's a kind of an initiative from our journal and business Events Sarawak. And then we changed a bit the focus, or sharpened the focus. In June, we will have 2 studios where we concentrate on the governance, the governance perspective. So what government agencies here in Sarawak, with the Tourism Ministry, and then in Miri, with the Miri City Council, what their perspective is on business events, how they use business events as a driver for developing the city infrastructure and so on. So I invite you already, the dates are not determined, we will announce it on our IJBEL website. So welcome to the next studios.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Andres. Very insightful. I believe that a lot of our participants here, physically and online, have learned something today. All right, at least there is something that you can take back today from this forum, from this studio, and I want you to think hard about it, and perhaps continue on the conversation for the next studio, be it in Kuching or be it in Miri. I think just now I mentioned to Prof. Andres, I would love to travel to Miri for the next studio. Partly to visit Kertin again after so many years of grounded in Kuching, and be able to also visit some of my colleagues and friends, and maybe to start off some meaningful collaboration with the community in Miri as well. Okay, so we reached the end of the event. We do have a small token of appreciation to our guests. All right, I would like to invite Professor Ida, if you don't mind, here. All right, for a small token to Prof. Andres. Not to forget also to Mayor Audrey.
And of course, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Hairan to represent our Research Society. Prof. Hairan. Thank you so much. Thank you, Prof. Ida. For this, I would like to conclude this event, this afternoon event. We do have another